So with everything going on, it's really hard to really probably most people have not paid attention, but I've kind of tried to follow this for the past few years. Is all the cold cases being solved? And whether people want to realize it or not, this is also biblical. Now, the science will tell you it's because of the DNA technology, but that DNA technology has been there a long time. But for whatever reason, the universities haven't, they've just been keeping it in their genome labs and doing gain of function. So here's the thing. I came across this article about, it wasn't a well-known social media site. It was sort of like those ancestry ones where you send in a drop of your blood, and then you can find out who your DNA is connected to. It was one of those type media sites. And the police and the sheriffs, your local police and sheriffs, that's how they've been solving many of these. I'm okay with like the local police and sheriffs having that information. I mean, if somebody's going to have it, I don't trust the universities with. I just don't. I haven't for a long time though, because of what they've been doing with research. And they had this technology a long time ago, but for whatever reason, when Trump came into office, there started to be all these cold cases being solved. I don't know why. I don't know if there's some restriction. I don't know. But they're happening. There's so many every single day. Not kidding. Every single day. This was just an hour ago. And there's many from just today. Cold cases. And the reason to me this is biblical is because the book of Revelations is called Revelations because God says, I'm going to reveal all truth. All truth will be known. All lies will be exposed. All of it. And that's what's been happening. And it's almost like it's going from way back to now. So while we're watching, America go through all this nightmare, just know that every single day there's tons and tons and tons of cold cases being solved, going back 40 and 50 years. That's got it work. You can say, oh, it's because of DNA technology, but it's not just that. Did people see the Vandersloot case that came out yesterday? I remember this case. Yeah, back in 2005, she was vacationing with her mom, and she disappeared. She she was on the beach, and I guess Vandersloot, Jordan Vandersloot, he made advances towards her, and she wasn't interested, and then he killed her. But it was an ongoing case. He would never admit to it. But then was it 10? I'm trying to think. Was it 10 years after? 10 years after he did it again. But that time he got caught. But it was all in the news. I remember that. She was so young. So this wasn't not one that was solved by DNA. But the mother always knew it was him. She just, mother's instinct. So this one was I don't know if it was him. I think it was him. He was already serving time in jail for another murder. And then he said that he was trying to set a trap that if you give me $250,000, I'll tell you where Natalie's body is. And then they didn't, but eventually they can't. I guess it's out of the time frame limits for them to charge him for this murder. But basically he confessed to it. Yeah, see, that's got it work. Because this is going back 2005. So none of this stuff would be being exposed, in, no matter how the ways they're going about doing it, unless avenues opened up. And these kind of avenues that this world has kept closed for so long to getting these cases solved, well, only God himself would open up those doors if he was ready for people to see the truth. Call me crazy, but at this point, I think it's a common sense thing to believe in God. I mean, for many years you can say how, I'm not trying to push that on anybody. I'm just saying to not believe in God means you don't want to look at the world around you. What do the pro-Palestinian groups do? They're hateful, they're angry, they're rageful. They're hateful people. They have a bunch of people that have been, socially engineered. But I'm saying the leaders of that movement, they're the leaders of that movement, Rashida Tlaib, all of those. And I'm not saying she's the leader, but she's she knows what she's doing. So does Ilhan Omar. Yeah, they're no different than Hamas themselves. Really, they're not. So, there's a lot of evidence for God being at work. But yeah, it talks in the Bible that God blinds those that choose not to see truth. So this was just this month. A 3 decades old case of a nurse is solved because DNA evidence. Yeah, so some of these social medias didn't want, one social media that was doing this ancestry, that's how police have been able, they've gone to some of these families for whatever reason because of clues. And just out of the blue, they're able to do this now. So they're bringing all these old cases that they couldn't solve and solving them. So they'll go to these families on these ancestry sites and say, could we have, would you be willing to give us a blood sample, whatever it is. And they don't have to, but most of them will. But one of the sites, the owner of it was angry. And so he blocked police and local police and sheriffs, and said that then he changed it to where they could have access, but it's like, you know what, I would rather the local police and sheriffs have access. If our DNA is going to be accessible to people, I would rather it be accessible to them so they can do this kind of stuff. The people that are really about law and order, I really am not comfortable with the universities or the FBI having any data on us. Here's another one. Detectives just used DNA to solve a 1956 double homicide. They may have made history. Yeah, so that's just 2021. Yeah, it's like it all started around the end of Trump's term. That's when I started noticing them popping up. So I've kind of been paying attention to them. Yeah, a lot of. This was just a couple days ago. How was Heidi Firkus murder solved? Dateline NBC revisits the 13-year-old cold case. Yeah, the police, the local sheriffs, they're pulling up all these because they can solve them now. That is literally God at work, because these things they had much of this DNA technology before, but I think it's the universities, they didn't want to. Yeah, they've not wanted. We have very wicked people in some very high places that would rather just none of this get solved, because they're just wicked. You have to face the truth. There's wicked people in the world. So this isn't updated, obviously. It was this month, October 10th, but there's more since then, because I'm telling you, if you look every day, just put in cold cases solved, it'll pull up a slew of them every day. Yeah, all the local police and sheriff's department, they're pulling these cases. So 31, that was as of the 10th, it's higher now. 31 cold cases that were solved in just 2023. Brutal killing of a mother and son in 1994 is solved through DNA evidence, police say. And just think how long the science has had this DNA, because they've had DNA technology for a long time. Some of this is because of social media too, but it all plays towards the Bible. It does. But the people that don't see truth and don't want to see truth and just want to believe experts and believe that science has told them the truth, no. Science has been used as a tool. Have they done some good things here and there? Yeah, they've never solved it. They've never cured anything. They haven't. Look into it. They've come up with some drugs to treat symptoms. Has that been helpful? Sure. If you're going to be doing some things you shouldn't be doing, like gain of function, then you certainly have to throw some healers every once in a while towards the public. But most of it really hasn't even been that. It's been just telling you, these are the experts. This is what we're going to do. Then they go and take the money and they do all this disgusting research. So those that don't want to see truth, Corinthians, in their case, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. John. So Jesus said to the Jews who had believed in him, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So there's a reason some people can see truth and others just won't. It says it in the Bible.